oh gosh, what day is it? 14th? I think, yeah, for September 14th to order at 4:32. And roll call, Alder Galvin.
Here.
Alder Corpus Dax.
Here.
Here.
And Alder Dorf is also here. Approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Alder Johnson, second by Alder Galvin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approval of the Finance Committee minutes from the August 24th, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alder Johnson, second by Alder Corpus Dax. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. So for regular business, the first item, Alder LaFave contacted me and asked me to just have us receive and place on file, just not discuss it. So, because she got some further information. So I'll just read the first item. A request by Alder LaFave to the Finance Committee, which states consideration with possible action on a review of the latest decision on the dark store law recently considered in the case Lowe's Home Center versus City of Wauwatosa. The Lowe's Homes Center. This review would include an understanding of current litigation in light of this decision. I will entertain a motion to receive and place on file.
So moved. Thanks for coming, Russ.
Second.
It's moved by Alder Johnson, second by Alder Galvin. Any further discussion? Apparently we don't have any dark stores and this doesn't apply to us. So that's what she told me. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We've dispensed with item 1. Item 2. Goodbye. For consideration and possible action to approve amendment number 1 to second amended and restated pledge and security agreement in reference to AI expansion bonds. Diane, you want to talk about that?
I will. As you remember, in August 17th, I think we approved the initial resolutions to move forward with the refunding. As all of our attorneys and our bond counsel was reviewing documentation, they found that one of this amended restated pledge and security agreement needed to be amended to add not only the original bonding, but also any refunding. It's really adding a few words to make sure that it includes this refunding. So it is a kind of a small change word-wise, but has big impact. So we have to add the word refunding in all 9 municipalities, Brown County, or all the municipalities, Brown County, and Room Tax Commission has to sign it. But a couple of municipalities have already signed it. Brown County will be taking it up tomorrow. So we do have our financial advisor from Todd Taves from Ehlers on the line in case you have any questions specific to this. But it really is the wording to add refunding to this document.
Are there any questions, Alders?
Yeah.
Alder Galvin. Oh, and then Alder Johnson.
Diana, I've had some discussions with some county officials recently, and I think about this. Could you explain to me what would happen or what wouldn't happen if we stayed with the old wording, and how will the new wording change that?
I will start, and then I can always let Todd step in. Without that wording, potentially we would fall out of what they call the waterfall, or we would fall out of the room tax are collected. They pay for the KI1, pay for the Rush Center, pays for the municipalities, CVB gets their portion. Then next comes expansion. And if we don't put the word refunding in, it specifically says it's our original bonding. We would actually fall out and the money would no longer pay for our debt. It would go right to the expo hall, and all of a sudden the city would be on the hook for the remaining $20-some million. All of a sudden we would fall completely out of, and they would no longer be using any room tax to pay this debt service. So even though it's only adding a few words, it's a huge impact. We would recommend not to move forward with the refunding. If for some reason any of the other municipalities or someone decided not to want to approve this, we wouldn't want to move forward with it, because we would now all of a sudden, all of a sudden the city would be on the hook for all of it. There would be no room tax that would be coming in to pay our debt.
Okay.
Good catch. Wow. Go ahead.
So if any one of the 9 municipalities or the county opts out of this, does this mean the whole thing is done?
For some reason, we couldn't get, at the end of, there's a total of nine people signing it, but like 6 other municipalities, Brown County, Room Tax, and the city of Green Bay. If for some reason somebody doesn't sign it, I think we need all the signatures at that point. I think we would put the refunding on hold and try to really work with them to try to get them to sign it. The benefit to all the municipalities, the county, is that there is a potential of over, right now, estimated $7 million of long-term savings to do this refunding. What that means is that's less money that a room tax that would need to be taken to pay off our debt. Then eventually the money goes to the expo hall. And once that's paid for years down the line, eventually that money will start going back to the municipalities. So one would say if we do the savings, the municipalities and Brown County will get their money sooner. And so there really right now is a benefit to everyone to do this refunding and overall save the estimated $7 million. And it also relieves us of a larger debt liability. We still have the debt liability. It would just be a huge advantage to the city of Green Bay, but it really is a benefit to all municipalities.
All right, thank you. And then Chair, I'd like to just ask a question or make a comment when all the other questions have been taken care of.
All right. Alder Johnson?
Well, I'm looking forward to Alder Galvin's statement next, but I just at least wanted to broach the topic because I brought it up at the RDA today, and I had an email exchange with Director Ellenbecker here, and I also had a conversation with Development Assistant Director Cheryl Rainier-Wigg. So I basically broached the concept of the escalator. I mean, that's something that's been talked about by a lot of people that perhaps was one of those misses in the installation of this. And while it sounds like, the Hyatt who manages the facility has indicated that it hasn't really been an issue in terms of them losing business. I think there's a difference between losing business and having it being directly correlated or identified to a lack of an escalator, as well as creating a very positive user experience that, quite frankly, we're competing against other facilities to be able to do that. So what I had suggested at RDA and in subsequent email to Director Steck-Schulte and Director Ellenbecker was, or at least the concept the idea that I had posed, could we, rather than doing the debt reduction, kind of maintain the same payment, if you will, but use the savings for the installation of an escalator. And so Director Ellenbecker had explained to me via email that for a lot of reasons, it doesn't make a lot of sense with this particular deal because you'd have to get all of the other municipalities on board. So I just at least wanted to provide that clarity publicly. I do still think that it's something we ought to be considering and looking for. That's a different discussion probably with RDA, but at least from the perspective of leveraging this particular bond and the redoing of this bond, it doesn't align with that. So thank you, Director, for at least giving that explanation via email. If you want to share more, yeah.
Yep, I would like to share a little more. Again, at some point, unfortunately, this really does not have the say in it. This is really room tax money that all these parties have decided how it's going to be spent. And really, ultimately, the county has this ultimate say in how this money is being spent. They have a lot more. We don't get to say how it gets spent based on the documents, based on how they were approved over the years. So even if we wanted to, I don't think we don't have a say in saying, hey, let's pull out $1 million out of the $7 million savings and put an escalator in. It's not our money to really reallocate, unfortunately, in this situation. And, that is our facility to maintain. The room tax money is not one. We can't pull that money in to put toward improvements on our facility.
Yeah, and that was something at the RDA I wasn't aware of, that this was the room tax funded bond. So obviously, once I had an opportunity to review this document and in your explanation, it definitely made that clearer. So.
Okay. Any other comments before Alder Galvin gives his final comment? Alder Galvin.
All right. And Brian, that's a very good point. That escalator has been, I think, a thorn at the site for ever since that place was added on. And also your comments, Diana, about the tax and who actually is in charge of it is probably just made Mayor Schmidt do a backflip somewhere, wherever he is right now, because that really bugged the heck out of him back then when this agreement was done. After I had some conversations, well, obviously when this whole thing came to a head back this past spring, and then after some recent, like I said, some conversations I've had with some county officials, I know this agreement is long. It's a bunch of binders thick, but it seems like with what we found out here, kind of at the last second again about this clause that has to be changed or everything falls apart. Is there any thought to having staff or someone or some entity go through that contract and maybe kind of just remind everybody that's involved what's all involved, so that there aren't any missteps or mistakes that could end up sticking the city in the future with some unpleasant business? I would hate to see something get missed or something because, it's buried, some paragraph buried in the middle of binder 3 of 700 pages of legalese and, and contractual language and things like that. And so I'm concerned about it.
I can certainly have, we can have them, attorneys on the line to have them look at it, but until there's a will by the county or anyone else to even open up these documents, I don't see any changes happening to it.
Well, I'm not asking for changes, and actually I'm more looking at Green Bay staff being up to speed on this entire contract. And I know this is just one small part of everything, all these puzzle pieces that are going on in the city. But it's kind of worrisome that if we hadn't had this financial crisis that we're facing, looking to reduce any of these bonds and save all the taxpayers, including Green Bay residents, $1 a year for the life of this bond. I mean, is anyone looking at the other bonds or any of the other loans that are out there, either through the county that we're involved with or the city? I mean, I know the city's doing a pretty good job. I mean, you're constantly coming back to us with ways of refinancing and reducing our debt. But I'm wondering, if this hadn't happened, would this opportunity have just kind of passed us by?
We've looked at the refunding. We've looked at the refunding of this bond for a couple years now, and we've been working with the county. And at some point, we just haven't been able to join up forces and had enough support to move forward with this refunding. Now that the rates are extremely low, it was worth us exploring it again. And again, we also had a funding gap that we really were trying to fix. So this has been on the surface of looking to be refunded over the last couple of years. And I would agree that I believe that this is the only bond that we would have that would be within the county, with the county or anybody else. And every other bond that we have between our previous financial advisors and now our new ones, they review them on an annual basis to make sure that if there's any refunding possibilities, they are reviewing that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'll entertain.
That's it?
Well, I'm not a big news guy. I mean, there's no fireworks or sparklers or maybe a small smoke bomb if my wife lets me, but that's about it.
I thought you were all fired up about something.
Oh, heck no. I just got done watching grandchildren for 36 hours. I'm beat.
Oh my
Soft
God,
now.
you're tired.
Washed out.
Yeah. All right, well,
All
I
right,
move to approve.
Move to approve by Alder Johnson. Is there a second? Second by Alder Corpus Dax. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, number 3. Discussion and possible action on the award of the Animal Shelter Services Agreement with the Wisconsin Humane Society Incorporated. Total 3-year cost is $309,090. Contract is a 1-year agreement with 2 1-year renewal options. Contract is attached. Any comments, staff, on this? Any questions, Alders?
I just have one question for Attorney Chavez.
Okay. Go ahead, Alder Johnson.
Believe it or not, I did read all of this boilerplate information. And one of the things that seemed, that was obvious that was missing, and I don't know if it needs to be in there, is language about how disputes are handled, whether it's through arbitration or some other type of process.
So this one was actually reviewed by Attorney Bunker, but she's pretty good about contracts. That's really kind of her bread and butter. I can take a look at it before the council meeting, but generally, if there's something in, unless we're going to stipulate that there's going to be arbitration or mediation, it really would just be governed by breach of contract laws.
Okay. And if it doesn't need to be in there, I'm good with that. I mean, that's usually something that I do see in contracts. And so when it wasn't there, I just thought I'd ask.
Sure.
All right, any other questions? I feel they've been doing a good job with it. And Diana or Director Allenbecker, do you think this is a good price? It's like $100,000 a year.
Right, that's the contractual, that's the agreement that came up with between the two parties.
Okay,
Is that
I have no problem with it. What?
Is that in alignment with what we've paid in the past to Bay Area?
I can check some history. I apologize, I'm not sure why our procurement manager is not on the line, so I apologize for not being more prepared for this call.
I mean, I just noticed that, it looks like, this is a new agreement. And I didn't realize this, that Wisconsin Humane Society is taking over Bay
Well, they
Area
did a
Humane
while.
Society?
Yeah, they did a while ago.
I didn't know that.
Yep, they did. So, there was the 1 year back, maybe 4 years ago, where there was a very low bid, but we knew it was going to go up. It was like
Yeah, I think that
$50
was,
or something.
yeah, that must have been like 2018.
Was it
That's
that?
16, because I was on, so I think that was 2018.
Yeah, and we knew it was going to go up.
Years.
Looking at history, back in 15, we were paying $100,000, and then back to exactly what Alderdorf has just mentioned, back in 17 and 18, we paid about $60,000, and since then it's been growing. It got moved to another party for a year. Low bid came in. We moved back to the Humane Society, and since then the number has been continuing to grow.
And so it used to be $140,000 a year. So this still is pretty good.
Yeah, are there amounts that we have to pay above and beyond? I noticed that there's some language in there if, animals are held for, beyond a certain period of time. And this is the piece where I didn't fully understand when I read the contract. Does the Humane Society then dispose of the animals? And by dispose, I mean, put them up for adoption or whatnot, or do we actually have to pay additional fees for that type of holding? And I didn't fully understand that.
All I can tell you from history, I can see we paid 7 months bills so far in 2021, and they've been all flat, even amount, across the board. So for the last 7 months, we haven't been billed for any additional services. And I look back in last year, and we also did not have any additional. They were even flat bills for 12 months. So it appears that they're not billing us. If they are doing additional services, they have not been billing us for any additional services.
Generally, so most of this is governed by state statutes, but generally they are obligated to hold them for a certain period of time. Once that time period expires, then they're up for adoption. The time when we would have to ask them to hold them is usually in the context of a seizure. And so when we're holding them as evidence, then we have to pay for those impound fees oftentimes.
I got it. And I assume that's probably a pretty rare circumstance, or
It's a little more frequent than we would prefer, but it's
Yeah.
the vast minority.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the explanation.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this.
Move to approve.
Everybody gets the motion. And who wants to second?
Second.
I will.
Everybody gets it. All right, so let's go with Alder Corpus Dax and Alder Johnson. All right, here we go. The next item, which I think is just going to be informational, contingency is at 104,650, and the next finance meeting will be Tuesday, September 28th at 4:30 p.m. Director, is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
Did we actually vote on that last item?
Did we vote? Oh, all those in
No,
favor
we didn't.
say aye. Sorry.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay.
Nope, nothing else at this point.
Okay.
Move to
All
adjourn.
right. Move to adjourn by Alder Johnson.
Second.
Second by Alder Galvin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. See you in personnel, like right away, right?
Yep, let's get her.
All right, okay.